a dog.
I expect to win every time I step out there on the floor.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
I can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history. I got that dog in me, yeah, turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah. I take on anyone. I don't need a one-on-one. Got that dog.
All right. The Toronto Raptors Summer League gets off to a absolute. I mean, yeah, but hey, you know, like you don't have on the other end, you don't have really any high lottery talents for the OKC Thunder. Who are you really playing against? AJ Mitchell, right? Adam Flagler. I think these were the top guys. Dylan Jones, but other than that, no Chet Holmgren, no Kason Wallace, no Ousmane Dieng for them. So clearly, you know, this is just they're just trying things out at this point. But for the Toronto, okay, look at this. Okay, so this is recovery, right? His foot is at the free throw line right now. This guy is way ahead of him, right? Jay saying I'm a Chomche believer. Well, aren't we all? Okay, just take a look at this. That long stride. He's just a little bit late. It's almost like he's second guessing himself. Should I move? Should I not? Strength. There's this notion that players, for whatever reason, that they're more athletic at 18 than they are at 24, 25. They're absolutely not. This kid is 18 years old. Okay. He's not going to turn 19 until well into the 2023, 2024, 2025 season. He's born, I think, December 28th. So you're talking about a high schooler, basically. That Scotty Barnes was older than this guy will be at the draft next year when he was in the draft. Just to give you perspective, he also picked up a basketball at, I think, 13 or 14 years old. So this is extremely impressive for what he's about to do next. Take a look at this. Okay, so he misses the rebound. The second jump is right there. He gets it. Now, we're talking about like him surveying the floor as he grabs the ball. How many bigs do you know? They're so unsure of themselves when they come down with basketball. They kind of survey it a little bit. They waste that extra time. He does not. Look, it's literally in one motion he's coming down, and the next motion, that ball is gone. Now, this turns into a turnover. I don't really care. It was a really good pass. It was pretty friggin' on target. And I just thought that this was so impressive. Let me show you something else. Okay, so this one, he just grabs the ball here. So take a look. So he comes up, receives the ball. His first instinct is to see what's the next play. And that's really impressive because he's going to find a cutter. And, you know, credit to 44 for getting backdoor and making this play. But that was a perfect on time, on target pass. No wasted motion. Okay. It's incredible. So, like, there was so much positive to say about him in general. Like, I just thought that he was fluid. He didn't pick up a ton of fouls. I thought that was impressive. Yeah, he had 0 points, and maybe everyone's just going to gloss over that, right? And be like, oh, well, you know what? Rob's going crazy for a guy who had 0 points. I don't care about the 0 points. He didn't force anything. He's a guy who has a capable jump shot. And he didn't take, I think he took like what, one shot the entire game? Yeah, he took one shot. Okay. I'll tell you what I liked about him the most. Okay. What I liked about him the most is after every single play, he was looking at his coaches. He was looking at other players. He's listening to Ochai. He's going up to Jamal Shed. He's asking, what can I do? There was a play where he puts his arm around Jamal Shed and walks him away to ask him a question. Okay, hot take time. I had a lot of concerns about Ulrich Chomche when we drafted him. Not because I expect anything wild out of the 57th pick, but I think it was important to temper expectations because expectations can get kind of crazy about a player who's this fluid, this big, this athletic, and this raw. I do want to say, however, that he has the makings of a really, really good NBA player. I don't need to see much more than what I just saw to tell you that. I've been researching him extensively since we drafted him. I've watched pretty much every inch of tape that there is on him anywhere on the internet. And I just think that the sky's the limit. You look at a draft like this, right? There are guys that I really believe in this draft. Reed Shepherd is one of them. Zachary Bisachet is another one of them, right? There's a few. Emisi, of course. Jacoby Walter, unfortunately, for the Raptors, is not really one of them, but we'll talk about him at some point. But apart from that, like, who are your high end, potential defensive player of the year, first team, second team, third team, all NBA type? Where's your high upside plays in this draft, right? It's a lot of role players. It's a lot of guys where it's like the best they're going to be is like the ninth guy. If you want to look at the average second round pick over the last 10 years, I would say 4 of them become starters. 4. So those are your odds, right? 4 for 30 is your odds of finding a starter. I think the Raptors have a chance with I think one of or more, at least one of Jamal Shed, Ulrich Chomche, or Jonathan Mobo will pop for you. You don't need all 3. It'd be great if it was all 3. It'd be great, I mean, 4 out of 30, and you got 3 of them. Perfect. This draft has been talked about to death, and I think that it has been somewhat missed because I've been reading a lot about, hey, the Raptors are so stupid. They stacked up 4 draft picks in this really shitty draft. No, they did not. Rephrase it. They picked up 4 draft picks in the best part of a very underrated draft that was downrated because it did not have top end talent. Reed Shepherd typically goes 10th to 13th. He went 3rd. That's why this draft was not talked about in the way next year's draft is being talked about. Ulrich Chomche goes back. If Ulrich Chomche, so he was flirting with Division One offers, I guarantee you, if he goes to Division One and he's even this good, if he's even as good as the guy we saw today, and Division One basketball hasn't even started yet, so we're in training camp at this point. If he's this sponge, like, you're giving a lot of credit to Africa basketball at this point, the academy that he's coming from, assuming that they taught him everything that he knows and whatever. But man, NBA training, Division One training at a really good high level Division One program is a completely different equation. If he looked this good against semi-professional, professional athletes, can you imagine what he would have looked like against Division One athletes? I guarantee you, if this guy goes to college next year, he's the top 20 pick next year. If he's like even remotely, because he has shooting potential, he has crazy shot blocking potential, he's extremely athletic, he's extremely fluid. So you just got, I mean, everyone talking about like, oh my God, we're now going to get a lottery pick next year. This is where you find value, right? This is where you find value. I thought Jamal Shed was great. I thought Jamal Shed was awesome, right? I think just in terms of like point guard play is so important in Summer League, is like one of the most important factors in Summer League altogether. And I just thought that overall, I think Jamal Shed had a really steadying force impact on the team. I see the super chats coming in. I really appreciate that, Joan. I will get to every single super chat right towards the end, but thank you so much. I just thought that it was just an incredible display of fluidity. Christian Koloko was in attendance. Bruce Brown was in attendance. We have some pictures for y'all. I think it's really cool that your superstar and your newly minted point guard were both on hand. I thought that was really cool. What the heck is going on here? Let's see if I can upload this real quick. Yep, there you go. Scotty Barnes and Garrett Temple, on side. It's I thought that was really cool. It was a nice touch for them, right? To be on hand, showing support to the younger teammates, right? And I'm sure it means a lot, right? This is what great organizations do. For years, I have looked at, the OKC Thunder as just one of these very together knit units. It didn't matter who came in or who came out of that organization. It was just always that way, right? the OKC Thunder have always had this sort of tight-knit unity with their players. Rookies come in, they feed into that. This kind of, they call it the college campus atmosphere that OKC has. I just think that the Raptors are replicating a little bit of that, and I think that it's the best part of what OKC has done, and I think that it's a really huge part of why OKC has been so successful as an organization. Okay, so overall, my take on Ulrich Chomche is this. Sorry, I'm building up courage to say the crazy thing I'm about to say, but let me just say it. If he, please be careful with this. Please don't repeat this. Let's just pretend. It's just between me and the 2,000, 3,000 people who are going to watch this video. If he continues to work hard, if he continues to listen to his coaches, if he continues to stay healthy, I think he'll be a top 5 player in this draft. What I just saw today, I mean, just at 18, with how raw he is, here's the thing. With bigs, they're always going to be limited to some extent by the point guard or guard initiator that they play with, right? When you're trying to look at a guy like a Giannis Antetokounmpo at a very young age, or a Bruno Caboclo, guys who are, again, they're not guards, they're not point guards, not like watching Nikola Topic for Mega. They are super reliant on creators. They're also reliant on space. Ulrich Chomche, you know, again, I've seen so many clips of him launching threes, and his form looks good. So I just think that this guy has a chance. I think he has a chance. I think he has a real chance. I am a big movement pattern believer, okay? Everything about me when it comes to young players is about movement patterns. I care about how you move around the court. I care about how hitchless all your, I care about how much effort there is to your movement patterns. Speaking of movement patterns, unfortunate news about Daron Holmes and his Achilles tear. That was one player that I really, really did not feel comfortable with on his movement patterns. Zion Williamson is another guy that I just never felt comfortable about how he moved. I never felt comfortable how he walked. Movement patterns are a really big thing. Fluidity, athletic fluidity, gait, these things, they have to matter. And, with Ulrich Chomche, his testing at the combine was ridiculous. The shuttle run, all that stuff. But it was so great to see it outside of that context and on an NBA court. And he looked like the most athletic big, right? Like, he covered space really well. And again, as he gets smarter, these things are going to get faster. Those passes are going to become more on target. It seems to me that the Toronto Raptors basically have 2 prerequisites for every single big that is going to play for them. You have to be able to be a good passer, and you have to be able to shoot. So apart from Jakob Poeltl, who cannot shoot outside of 4 feet, 5 feet, every other player, whether we're talking Brandon Carlson, whether we're talking Kelly Olynyk, you got to have those 2 things. So Ulrich Chomche has those 2 things. I think playmaking is not usually something you teach very successfully later on. When a player is a non-playmaker at the 4 or 5 years into their sport, and again, you have to consider how much other sports play a factor into this, whether you play football, whether you played soccer, whatever. I never played soccer even competitively in my life. But when I play soccer, all the advantages that I learned playing basketball as a playmaker, learning how people move, where people are going to be 2-3 seconds from now, all of that stuff is coming into advantage for me. So playing sports in general at a young age, Ulrich Chomche, of course, he played soccer. So I think that some of that soccer stuff is going to actually translate pretty well to basketball. So I'm very encouraged by him. Let's take a look at, Brandon Carlson. I thought he was really good. I watched some of his Utah tape after the Raptors signed him in a two-way, and I wasn't super impressed. I really didn't understand it. I think most draft analysts had him as the 90th or 93rd, 85th ranked prospect. Okay, so that's not encouraging for your NBA shot that you're the 95th prospect at 25 years of age, in a league starving for production from second round picks, in a league starving for shooting. And of course, all the concerns about Brandon Carlson coming out of Utah were basically, does he have the toughness? Does he have the strength to battle inside? I was very encouraged by how often he crashed the offensive glass. I was super encouraged by how active he looked. He looked very confident in his jump shot. He was productive. I mean, overall, I think, 23 minutes, he had a plus 24. He was 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. That is very impressive. I thought his reaction time was very good. I was most interested to see how well he invited contact and liked contact. And I liked that part about his game. Jacoby Walter. Okay. I am not going to panic over a 5-point outing for Jacoby Walter. I think defensively he competed. I liked some of his movement pattern as well. I think he has a very hitchless way of moving around the basketball court. What is absolutely apparent to me is that the two biggest the two biggest weaknesses right now are going to be probably a very major hindrance for him as a rookie. Two things. One, his ball handling needs to get significantly better. I saw clips of it in AAU and I thought that it looked better, but against NBA defenses, against better defenders, he's going to struggle with that a little bit. The second thing is strength. Obviously, any 19-year-old is going to have to put on strength to play in the NBA. He is very, very much going to have to put on a lot of strength to guard better. I thought his lateral quickness was all right. It was good. It wasn't anything that popped off the page like, oh my God, this is gonna be a future D Wade. He's gonna be an all defense guy. But I think he'll be a very competitive and very good defender. I think he uses his length well. I think he reads situations well. He looks like a very serious kid. He wasn't sleeping. He wasn't asleep off the ball. So I think he competed hard. I just think that, and again, we'll see. We'll see. And then, he had a little bit of more of an opportunity towards the second half, and I think he was pretty much scoreless in the first half. I think overall he's solid. He's going to be solid. He needs a year. I think he needs a year and a half, and I think everyone in the draft kind of knew that about him. And you know what? Maybe he can rapid accelerate it. Maybe he'll be really, really good after the All-Star break, right? If the Raptors, decide to tear it down, if things haven't worked out. The Raptors have set themselves up for an absolutely beautiful season. I do not understand why the media is so gloom and doom, because everything is upside for the Raptors at this point. Everything is pointing up. If things work out for you, congratulations. You have a super young core. You have a surplus of draft picks. You own your own draft pick this year, which is great after the horror show that was last year. And, I can't understand what the downside is on that. If the Raptors end up losing, it's the same thing. It's great. But unlike last year where you're watching, Malik Mitchell or whoever, who we're starting to center, Malik Mitchell, Moji, all these guys, you have real talent now to develop, right? And look, I mean, I'm not projecting any of these guys that played on the Summer League to be superstars or all-stars or whatever, but they all look like NBA players. There's 6 NBA players, I think, on your Summer League roster. There might be 7. I think that's a really big win for an organization. Can they become more than NBA players? Can they become good NBA players? Can they become role players in the NBA? We will see. Grady, as I mentioned earlier, to open, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. I thought his playmaking was impressive. I thought it was great that he was able to use some of the shooting gravity, defender coming out, and just quickly going past them, right? I think he's obviously worked on that. I think he needs to trust his shot. He is a lights out shooter, and sometimes it does not look like he has a lot of confidence. We saw that confidence wane in and out last year. I think he needs to trust it just a little bit more. It would be really, really nice for him to do that. Who else we need to talk about? Ochai Abaji. Again, there's a world in which Ochai Abaji is in the Summer League again next year, playing for a different team, fighting for a contract. There's another world in which he puts together his entire package and just becomes this ultra glue guy role player off the bench. And I think I'm leaning more towards the second outcome than the first one. Again, I just really like all these players. This hasn't always been the case for me. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, if you put on a Raptors jersey, I want to root for you. No, clearly I am fully capable of rooting against you, despite the fact that you have a Raptors jersey on. But I just think that this is a good kid. He works really hard. He plays within himself. I mean, there's a lot of upside here on the athleticism side. He is just one of those rare 6'5" guards who can actually guard a couple positions, 3 positions. I would even think later in his career, he might be able to guard some smaller 4s. And he has this really unique instinct which very few bigs, very few guards do. Guards that do come to mind, Gary Payton II, Jalen Suggs, Drew Holiday, Kyle Lowry a little bit. He really bothers the paint. Like, he can really disrupt. He can be like an active sort of shot blocker. He can get down and he covers space really well. So I'm really rooting for Ochai. I'm not necessarily holding my breath out for some sort of, crazy offensive explosion where he's suddenly taking, 6, 7 shots out of the pick and roll and stuff. I'm not expecting any miracles here. I just would love for him to be more of a, willing corner shooter and find himself open. Speaking of, being a little passive, I think that Jonathan Mobo is probably a little bit too passive for my liking. He took one shot, he made one shot, but he had 3 assists, he had 6 rebounds, he had 1 steal, he nearly had a block, he had 1 turnover, he had 1 foul. Look, I think Jonathan is going to be a much better player than this. He's never going to be a high volume guy. He's a very unselfish player, and we saw it tonight. I think it's a little bit too unselfish, though. I think he is going to absolutely need to use some of those physical gifts. I liked how he covered in space. I like how he closed out to the corner shooter and then kind of stuck with him a little bit. He's a big dude. Like, he is a good, solid 6'8". He is a guy who can really, really guard 3-4 positions as well. So again, you're getting multi-positional defenders here, right? Grady, right? He participated defensively. He did every single thing other than what he can't do defensively. So he's drawing charges, he's getting on the glass, getting on the offensive glass, he's tipping basketballs, like communicating defensively, he's covering, hedging around screens. Like, I just think that Grady is doing everything possible to be a good team defender. And so you're seeing the makings, at least with some of these guys, the Raptors could be a better defensive team than they were last year, right? Specifically because I don't really think Pascal Siakam was really contributing very much defensively last year. Scotty missed a lot of time. Jakob missed a ton of time. Jakob was not really himself. Dennis Schroeder is not exactly the greatest defender. He's certainly a bit of a, I would say, downgrade on Emmanuel Quickley. When Emmanuel Quickley's going right, IQ comes in. They didn't set up a defense. Darko's been on record about this a couple times where they didn't really, work on their defense. Okay, well, now is the time to start working on it. A lot has been made of this quote, "This is the first year of our rebuild." Don't take that too literally, okay? Don't take that too literally. They're tempering expectations maybe, but I think they are also trying to wash away what was the transition that was last year. But make no mistake about it, they did establish a lot of good habits last year. And I think you saw a lot of those good habits bleeding over into Summer League. How quickly did that basketball move? How many possessions did we see where the ball is literally spraying in, going out, and swinging? And I mean, these are just Summer League guys. They haven't been working together for very long. They've been together for about 4 days. And you're already seeing all of that 0.5 basketball. I listened to my favorite WNBA player of all time, Candace Parker, saying the Raptors are so unselfish. And it was just such a watershed moment, or like whatever you call that moment, where it's like a then and now, where you could almost sit there like with Kleenex and sob and cry and think about all the times that you yourself were watching this team go 1-3 to 1-4 as OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes is standing around saying, "What the F?" And you have this team now, and it's a totally different team, and it's beautiful. And salute to this community. We fought for this, we prayed for this, right? I don't want to sound too dramatic when I say this, but really, if I had to watch one more year of Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam ISO basketball, I think I would have poked my eyes out. So it is a little bit dramatic. It's a beautiful style of basketball that the Raptors are playing. Even last year, a lot of people, point to 25 wins. They point to, eighth worst team or 7th worst team or whatever the hell the Raptors 6th worst team they were last year. Look, all of that aside, the Raptors generated great looks last year. Okay. They may not have played a lick of defense. They couldn't guard a friggin' shadow. Yes, all of that is true. And I love defense. So obviously, that made my heart sad a little bit. And they couldn't hit a shot. And they had, historically good 3-point shooters shooting like 16 to 22% for long stretches. You had Grady Dick struggling at the same time. Gary Trent was struggling at the same time. Jalen McDaniels couldn't make a shot. I get it. It looked really ugly. And 25 wins is not inspiring. And, finishing sixth bottom last and, the net differential and the ratings and all that stuff, wash it away. Think about basketball only in terms of opportunities generated and opportunities taken away. And you will think about the fact that the Raptors generated better looks under Darko Rajovic last year than they have under any year of Nick Nurse ever. And so, really, at the end of the day, it just came down to the skill readiness and the maturity, the chemistry between the guys who were taking those shots. That's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. And I just think that the Toronto Raptors are going to be much better to watch next year. And look, of course, there is going to be 100%. There is going to be a chance that the Raptors come out 10-20, and they're a super young team. If they're starting Grady Dick, to me, Grady Dick does not look like he doesn't belong in Summer League. Just to put that out there, I was impressed with his performance, but he doesn't look like a guy who's like, oh, he's too good for Summer League. He looked like a really good player, but he doesn't look like he's too good for Summer League. This is the Grady Dick. He looks like a lottery pick right now, which is not what he looked like last year. So Grady is like a year behind maybe what people's wildest expectations were of him last year, because forget the fact that he was picked 13th. Realize that a lot of people saw him as a top 8 pick last year. This is what a top 8 pick should look like. This is what I want to say. I don't want to say like Reed Shepherd looked better than this to me, but this is kind of like what Reed looked like, right? He was kind of in control. He was moving at his own pace. He was hitting shots, etc. So, overall, I think Grady looked good, but he don't look like he's too good for Summer League. There's a lot of talk about whether or not going to shut him down and give other guys opportunities. I get that, but I think he could use these reps. I think it's good for him. I think it's good for his development. I really love the fact that he is not just a shooter. And again, last year, obviously, draft, my reaction to Grady Dick, having wanted Jordan Hawkins. I don't think that Grady Dick's a better player than Jordan Hawkins today. I don't think that Grady Dick's a better player than Cam Whitmore today. I don't think Grady Dick is better than Jaime Jaquez or Brandon Podziemski. And you might think that that means that I think Grady Dick was a bad pick. Absolutely not. The hypothetical version of Grady Dick, what Grady Dick can be long term, is the best possible outcome of any of those players. The best version of Grady Dick is better than the best version of Cam Whitmore. It's better than the best version of Jordan Hawkins, because he has legit 6, 7.5, 6, 8. Like, he nearly had a triple double today. Just put that through your mind. In terms of the branding and the reality of Grady Dick is completely opposite, right? And that was what I think is impressive about him. He's a really underrated athlete. He's large for a guard. He can be a competent defender. He can be a really good rebounding guard, and he has really solid playmaking potential long term. He's a smart basketball player, and of course, the jump shot is butter smooth. So for Grady, what I would love to see next game is maybe a little bit more pick and roll initiation, right, from him, where I would like to see that handle getting even better. Right now, everything in his game is like 2 dribbles and that's it, right? But can he do a little bit more? Can he back his guy down in the post, right? Can we see that? Everything doesn't have to be off movement, right? And maybe you might say, okay, well, he doesn't have the strength to do that. That's not really his game. But, this is the time to try it, right? This and summer runs and pro-ams, this is where you grow your game, right? And Grady is still, we're in July, so August, September, October, like we got 3 more months left. He can get into the gym, he can get stronger from here. I expect the player that comes into preseason for the Raptors to be a much better player. He looks like an NBA rotation player right now. He doesn't look like an NBA starter to me. So he's got a gap to bridge over those next 3 months, get a little bit stronger, get that handle a little bit tighter, and, just remain confident in that jump shot, man. You are like one of the best shooters in, college basketball history. Like, you absolutely need to just trust that. And I think that his intelligence and overall just playing with better players is going to help him. Like, right now, he's the guy. This is not ever really, I don't want to say ever. We don't know where Grady's going to be in 5 years, but this isn't really his game right now. But I imagine some of the stuff that he did today coming off of a guy like Scotty, and I'm just like, oh man, this is going to work beautifully for him. I love what the Raptors are building. I think Summer League is going to be a movie. I think the rest of it is just, I'm excited. I'm excited about this team. The Summer League roster is deep. I think I'm looking forward to seeing more from Ulrich Chomche. I would love to see him, launch a couple threes. Jonathan Mobo, take those corner threes, man. You're there and you're passing them up. Like you just got to take them. And if you airball it, you airball it, right? That shit's gonna happen. Someone airballed it today. I can't remember who it was, but yeah. So okay, we got 206 comments. Please, Lord, please not be spam. Okay. We got 7 super chats. Oh wow. Okay. I'm gonna go through them. Let me just get to some of the non-super chats first, and I will try to get through everything. Okay, Chomche raw as F. Well, you know what? He didn't look that raw to me, in my opinion. He looked really raw when I saw him in December, January, around last year. That looked raw to me. He was picking up a lot of offensive fouls, but we saw a guy who was holding his position. He was coming off those screens really well, darting to the basket. I thought it was pretty good. Defensively, he wasn't too handsy, he wasn't holding guys. I thought it was good, man. Um Mobo was looking for a shot. His bag is just limited. Um, I think he let down. I think he turned down quite a few open shots to me. And again, Mobo, Ochai, Javon. I think all these guys. I didn't even talk about DJ Carton. I thought DJ Carton was really good tonight. Overall, I think he's making a solid case. It's really going to be him or Javon. I don't know if you go into given that you already have Jacoby Walter, I don't know if you go in with both those guys. So it'll be a war in training camp between those two, and we'll see who gets cut. But one is on a 2-way, I guess, and then one is on a guaranteed contract. The Raptors have space under the cap. We already talked about, Emmanuel Quickly's contract coming in a little bit lower. We have not talked about Jalen Brunson's, total fleece of a deal, and we won't. We'll leave that for something else. But I was shocked that Jalen Brunson took that money, but c'est la vie. Tariq saying, shout out Rob Ford, the best mayor we ever had. I'm not political enough to know if that's even true. Is it? Y'all let me know. There's a lot of mouths to feed on this roster. Yeah, and they're playing really well. Right? Tariq. Trump almost got a head tap. Wow, a Trump and a Rob Ford reference? You really telling on yourself right now, man. Sahaj Chala saying, I think Jacoby Walter will start his career like Grady. He has to adjust to the NBA 3-point line. Yeah, there was a lot of talk about Grady last year, talking about how the court was a little bit big, how he was a little bit winded. He's a movement shooter, right? Jacoby, I think, could be a little bit more ISO heavy. He's a little bit more athletic. He's a little quicker off the bounce. That's why I think Jacoby Walter really, really needs to work on that. Like, I don't want to say like 1-2 dribble. I think I would like to see him being like a 6 dribble guy, right? It is important. Like, I love that he can get his game off in 2 dribbles. I like that, but you don't have to be that, right? You have that player type. I would like to see Grady and Jacoby have that sort of like yin and yang. I know they're both movement shooters. I know they're both good shooters who can do a lot of stuff, and they're very toolsy. But yeah, Jacoby and honestly, the other thing I was watching for with Jacoby was his playmaking, and I was not impressed. Right? Overall, I think he missed like 2 or 3 easy reads. Like if you want my playmaking rating, like Ulrich Chomche had a better playmaking rating than Jacoby Walter today. So that to me is like, like you better be a hell of a defender and a hell of a shooter if you're not going to be much of a playmaker. I saw some playmaking potential for him, so maybe it's just like 2-3 plays. He wasn't really handling the basketball enough. So we'll see. If Grady gets shut down, 2 games into the summer league, we'll probably see guys like Jonathan Mobo step into the starting lineup. We'll see Jacoby Walter. I'm sure like nobody, please God, nobody overreact to like one game. I think I read a quote. It was like a tweet by John Hollinger yesterday saying like, and I don't know if he was being sarcastic. I hope for his sake that he was, because he's a pretty respected basketball analyst by some people. And he said, these 2 baskets, the first 2 baskets by Zachary Resache, it's so impressive, proving that the Hawks were right for drafting him. Really, I hope that is sarcastic, because really nothing is going to be proven in Summer League at this point. That being said, I did watch the Houston Rockets play, and I was very impressed. I did watch the Atlanta Hawks play, and I walked away thinking Zachary Risacher is exactly who I thought he was. I was just blown away by Reed Shepherd, though. I'm just going to say that. I thought he was awesome. I think he completely outclassed Bronny James and Dalton Connect. And I know a lot of people are rooting, they're kind of like watching those games for those guys. Dalton obviously has a lot of supporters, but Bronny James has a huge hype train behind him. And I think just the Lakers, just in general, all the eyes on the Lakers. And I just thought that Reed Shepherd looked like, you want to know something? Reed Shepherd looked like he was too good for Summer League. That's the gap. Like, he just looked like he was on a completely different planet playing basketball. So impressive for a rookie. Jacoby needs to get stronger. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a 19-year-old who doesn't need to get stronger. Even Dwight Howard at 19 needed to get stronger. There we go. I'm comparing Jacoby Walter to Dwight Howard. Flowers and DeRosa's saying Grady should play because we're trying to instill a winning culture. I don't know how true that is. Honestly, I think Summer League is always an audition. I think it's a good time to try some new things. I think it's a good time to get some guys some reps against some real NBA competition. I don't think it's going to be the barometer for anything. I don't think it's the testing ground, proving ground. I don't think it sets a culture or anything like that. That being said, the practices that they're having in the ballroom, if y'all have seen the pictures, the ballroom is immaculate. They had the same thing last year. I think that is what's setting the culture. The fact that Scotty is down there, IQ is down there, Bruce Brown is down there, Garrett Temple's down there, rooting their teammates on. I think that's what's setting the culture. And you know what? The Toronto Raptors over the last few summers have had this sort of thing, whether it's the Rico runs, they're just a team that stays together in summer. I can tell you I have watched a lot of Raptor teams where this was not happening. So this was pretty cool to watch. But yeah, like overall, I just think it's been really good. Crip saying the rebounding today was impressive. I agree. 5 Adam saying, Rob, do you think DJ will make a roster spot? Again, I think it's going to be between him and Javon. And I think I have a preference for Javon, but I liked DJ's game better today. Okay, let's get to some super chats here. The homie nicked. I agree with you, Rob, but it's possible that Chomche is more developed than his typical for his age. Still, he is already more than athletic enough to be a great player. He just needs everything else. Completely agree. I think that he is just one of those players that, is fluid and is long, and he has already this like incredible tool chest, again, the way he moves his feet, the fact that he can already shoot, the fact that he playmakes already, even as well as the clips that we showed, it's already more potential than you're going to see out of a lot of bigs in Division One basketball. I promise you, I watched a lot of Division One basketball last year, and it was so many times where a center didn't throw a simple outlet pass like that. So to me, the package, the frame, the just the God-given athletic ability is all there. The skill set is developing. And if I am to buy into him saying, I want to kill guys out there, if that's not just hype, that's really what he believes. And I saw that today. I saw a dog today. So, again, I'm looking for different things with players like him than I am for someone like Grady. With him, I'm really looking for how what I'm looking for with him? How much eye contact are you giving the person who's talking to you? That was one thing that really bothered me about Bruno, is that sometimes when you were talking to him, it felt like either the language or just his attention span or his maturity. When Bruno was at a very young stage in his career, when he's playing Summer League or when he's playing in the preseason or whatever, you would see Dwayne Casey or whoever talking to him or one of his teammates talking to him, and he just kind of looked like he was looking somewhere else. He didn't really look dialed in. Weirdly enough, whether we're talking AAU level, whether we're talking, grade school level, whatever, it always matters to me that when coaches talk, players listen, right? That level of engagement shows me that you're not in your own head, that you're actually trying to get better, that when someone is trying to take the effort to make you better, that you're not someone who's taking that for granted. Ulrich Chomche doesn't seem to be taking this for granted at all. It just seems like, he's made a believer out of me for sure. Okay, Joan Davis. Time for a laptop upgrade. Your dedication and hard work make every stream great. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And yes, laptop upgrade is coming. T Dot's finest 97. Much love for everything you do, Rob. You're the man. Thank you so much. Oh, let me know if you need a refund on this. I think you did this twice. Thank you so much. Noble Venom. You have to choose one to develop and have on the Raptors. Who do you choose, Koloko or Chomche? Thank you for the super chat. I hate you for asking this question though, because I'm a really, really big Koloko fan. Y'all know this. I love Christian Koloko. I think Christian Koloko's defensive potential is just so immense, and I think that his movement pattern and fluidity and short roll playmaking, etc. Can I get out of this with a cop out answer? Let me put it this way: Ulrich Chomche is better at 18 than Christian Koloko was at 19. That's what I'm going to say. So I don't know what that means, but I love Christian Koloko. Yeah. Chomche made a great stop and sprinted down the court so fast he beat everybody. Also on screen and totally roll and also on screen and roll, he totally stealed this guy 2 times. Lob pass just didn't come. 100%. Good for you for noticing that. Hey Rob, thoughts on Brendan Carlson tonight? I thought he was tough, man. All the tape that I watched on him in college, the whole, critique was he didn't like contact. He didn't, necessarily have the physicality. Scouts were worried. 25 years old. He's 200 and was he 219 pounds or whatever? He looked good to me, man. Like he looked like he was willing to bang. He looked like he was willing to be physical. This was a guy who shied from contact for sure in college. He wasn't dominating at the level that you would expect a 25-year-old senior who's playing his 5th year, COVID, you know. I didn't see that level of domination in college, but now you're seeing a very fluid jumper, right? Confident, stepping into it, off movement, which is great. He's stepping into it. It's not stationary, right? He can step into it. I mean, the potential is ridiculous, right? If he puts his nose down and he works hard, this is a very enticing third big, third center type of potential guy. Is it at least as good as Luke Cornett? Like, I don't know. Okay, no, of course not. He's old. Like he's 25 years old. You have to consider that. I know some of you don't want to consider that. You can be like, oh, he's a rookie. No, it matters. Rafael Arujo, when he was 24, they said it didn't matter that he was 24. It mattered because there was like zilch upside. If this is just the player he is, and he gets 10% smarter and 15% stronger, and he just puts it in his mind that he's got to crash the glass every time he's down, because I really liked his propensity to crash the glass. Even if, at the NBA level, if you're doing this against Joel Embiid and doing this against Nikola Jokic and Yusuf Nurkic, like you're going to get bumped off and you're not going to stand a chance. I think there's going to be certain matchups, and he's probably going to spend the entirety of his summer, his year in the G League. And look, get him 20 pounds heavier, stronger, keep jump shot going, get a little bit of that post stuff, right? I don't really see too much post ups from him in college, but if you can get a bit of a post game and a bit of a turnaround, I don't know. You got 1% Dirk Nowitzki. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was a really good showing for him tonight, and I think the Raptors really benefited from the space that he created on the court. I thought that they looked better with him than they looked with Chomche, and that's no shade on Chomche. Chomche is 7 years younger than him, so I think it mattered. Tonius 35. 1, Chomche's body is more NBA ready than I thought. 2, he actually sees the floor and can process stuff. 3, he's more mentally ready than Bruno in 2014. Thank you for summarizing my entire live stream. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the super chat. I completely agree. I think, I just think at some point, the way that he like launches to the basket, it has a ton of Clint Capella stuff in it, right? Like he reminds me a little bit of Serge Ibaka, and it's not something that I was expecting to be saying at this point, but like, yeah, he has some really, really good tools, and I'm hoping for his sake that he'll continue to have a very healthy and good summer league. So yes. What? Did you say Chomche could be Scotty? Scotty what? PWL 7991, Sasha giving me Hito vibes, prima donna. I don't think that's necessarily a fair characterization of a EuroLeague MVP who had a very disastrous year last year and may not have been communicated well with. But, obviously we heard from Masai Ujiri, and he said that they're going to work with him and they understand him. So hopefully, that'll be good. But there's no need to have our fan base turn on yet another European player like we did on Goran Dragic, like we did on Hito Turkoglu, like we did on Andrea Bargnani. Like, can we just not do that this time? I hope that we will be able to extract something of value, either for his contract, or we'll be able to resolve the issue and use that roster spot maybe on Christian Koloko. That would be awesome. Tariq saying Reed is him. Yes. WYSO Stefan Castle looked really good tonight again. I haven't watched yet. Shepard and Fred VanVleet backcourt fire. He's more like going to be Fred's replacement in Houston, and I hope Fred knows that. Carvin Chung reading my mind right now. I bet Fred VanVleet will mentor Reed, then feel threatened. He is a better version of Fred VanVleet. Expect Fred VanVleet not to get along with him. You know what? I'm really, really hoping that what Fred went through with Scotty and what Fred went through with some of the younger guys has made him a better player and a better mentor. I also hope that he has a $43 million check that helps him sleep at night so that he doesn't need to feel threatened by anybody. Okay. I fully expect we'll be having basically the exact same kind of conversation about Jacoby this time next year as we were having now about Grady. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, if Jacoby Walter and Grady Dick turn into equivalent prospects, that's great. I think that'd be good. That'd be good outcome for you. But I just think they're going to be different types of players. B saying thoughts on Koloko sitting beside Raptors staff. My thoughts are, please, Lord, let it happen. I obviously am a very, very big Christian Koloko fan. The Raptors will probably have a spot on the roster if they waive Sasha Vezenkov or whatever. And frankly, even if they waive, there's nobody behind Jakob Poeltl that inspires any confidence as a backup center. I really do think Kelly is more of a 4. So if Christian Koloko is cleared medically, Christian Koloko is going to change my entire feeling about this roster going forward. And also just like if he's healthy, like I would just really be happy for him. I don't really care where he goes. I just want him to be healthy. I'm assuming you're talking about okay. Chomche, better shooting potential. Yeah, I mean, he's shooting at a younger age, but Christian Koloko's jump shot is pretty okay as well. That was not the question, Rob. No cop outs. Given where Christian Koloko's career is right now at the age of 23, and given where Ulrich Chomche is at 18, if you were saying, like, would I trade Ulrich Chomche for Christian Koloko right now? No, I wouldn't. But Koloko is a much better player right now, and you don't know where Chomche's career is going to go. Like, this is one summer league game, a bunch of, exhibition games. There's not enough data right now. He really could be, a lottery level talent in this draft. But I feel very highly that what Christian Koloko showed as a rookie, as a rim protector, is like borderline, it's borderline second team all defense stuff that he was doing. So again, like PWL7991 saying, what if Ulrich grows to 7 feet? He can be a monster. I think he's going to be a monster regardless of that. Lance Scott saying, I swear Sasha was misunderstood all year over there. Yeah, it started out so well. Noble Venom with another super chat. And Amen and Reed backcourt sounds incredible. Complement each other's game so well. Completely agree. I think it is like the perfect backcourt. I think defensively they're really good. And yeah, Flowery and DeRosa saying, what age is Christian Koloko now? I believe he's 23 years old. I could be mistaken on that, but hold on. Let me just see here. Let me just double check that I'm not crazy here. So Christian Koloko is 24. So he just turned 24 last month, June 20th. So yeah. Again, another guy who picked up basketball a little bit later in his life. So there's no need to say, okay, well, 24, he's done as a prospect. I just think that we didn't get to see what a beautiful year he was going to have last year because of the health stuff. He worked really hard last off season. Very familiar with, some of the training staff and people that work with him. And, he was gearing up for a really big year last year. So again, Ulrich Chomche is potential at this point. Christian Koloko, if he's healthy, is actual production and a really, really competent backup center. And, again, with all the fit issues with Jakob Pertl, potential contract issues, et cetera, I think, and also, I do want to just amend one thing before we exit here at the 1 hour mark. Been trying to keep these lives a little bit shorter. I want to say that, the Jalen Brunson contract, what he could have been eligible for in 3 years, I think it was like something like 5 years, 400 million or something like that. The way contracts are going, I want to sign every single player to a 5-year deal right now, because these contracts are getting ridiculous. They're getting out of hand, right? Like RJ Barrett, when his contract is up, like I think the Raptors are really looking for, flexibility and some good contracts long term. And right now, if you told me we could sign Gary Trent Jr. to 5 years, 35 million, I would probably take it, right? Like I would definitely take that deal because that is a bargain, right? He's not going to sign that deal because he's not stupid, but yeah, I would really like the way the cap is exploding 10%, 10%, 10% every single year. Some of the contracts that you're going to see guys signing, like Scotty's next contract. You'd be very happy that Scotty signed a 5-year deal and not, something less than that. Because I'll tell you right now, in like what Victor Wembanyama's rookie extension is going to look like is probably like, I don't know, what is the math on that? It's probably going to be close to $300 million, his rookie extension. Because if Scotty's is 270 with the All NBA stuff, Victor's probably going to make All NBA this year. So I would project Victor is going to be like 315 to 330. So 5 years, 330. Like these contracts are getting crazy. These are young players. So yeah, the money is exploding in the NBA. I really like the fact that the Raptors have their core locked down. And again, to reiterate, if the season goes south, you don't have anybody who really, really is like, oh my God, my contract, because if the season's going south and you're, 15 games under 500, then Scotty's not making All NBA. The All NBA implications are off the board for the Supermax contract. And then, RJ and IQ, they have their contract secured. Bruce Brown, he's someone that you can ask to tank, no problem. And then you have this entire young roster to watch. So I think the Raptors have set themselves up for either outcome. I think it's a pretty good thing. Good showing tonight. Big win. I'm looking forward to a Raptors championship in Summer League. That'd be great. Thank you so much to all of you for the super chats. Please hit like, subscribe on your way out. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you for the next one.